Now, President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday directed the opening of Nigeria's land and air borders with the Niger Republic, as well as the lifting of various sanctions against the country with immediate effect. A statement from Special Advisor to the President, Ajuri Ngelale, noted that President Tinubu's directive was in compliance with the decisions of the ECOWAS Authority of Head of State and Government at its extraordinary summit on February 24, 2024 in Abuja. Now, during that summit, ECOWAS leaders had, among other things, agreed to lift economic sanctions against Niger Republic, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. The Nigerian leader also directed the lifting of suspension on all commercial and financial transactions between Nigeria and Niger, as well as the defreezing of all service transactions, including utility services and electricity to Niger Republic. Now, Dr. Kester Onor is a research fellow at Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, and he joins us now to discuss Nigeria reopening her borders with Niger Republic, the undercurrents behind it, and the effectiveness of ECOWAS as a regional politic stabilizer. Good afternoon. It's great to have you once again.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Always enjoy our conversations. Now, let's get straight into it. I'm going to be very direct, Dr. Kester. Is this a victory for the Sahel Alliance, for the nations of Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali? Is this a moral victory for them?
Thank you very much. I think this is a victory for the entire West African. Because initially, when they took that decision, it was actually, we were worried. Because when we are talking about the West African integration, it has taken us a lot of time to get to where we are. And I equally believe that we should commend the Nigerian government and the authority of the ECOWAS heads of state for taking this initiative. It's all about West Africa. And when we are talking about West Africa, we are talking about the people of West Africa. So if the government of West African states can make it possible for the people, to live a decent life, for them to enjoy, to be in peace and in harmony. And I believe that coming together, we can achieve that better. It is organized West African will not take us anywhere. So now that the sanctions has been lifted, both the financial sanctions and the economic sanctions, and the account has been unfreezed, you understand? At least we are now entering a new horizon, in that is in our relationship with our fellow brothers. So it's not about Niger, Mali, or Guinea, or Burkina Faso. I believe that this is the right thing to do at this particular time. Thank you.
Now, when it comes to diplomatic relations, of course, we know when this border was closed, tension, the relationship was strained, basically. And this gesture, you've said, of course, that it's one that's positive. But how can they follow up on this, or the president follow up on this? Because this is a good move, but for it to be accepted and deemed acceptable for, Niger, what do you want to see happen next?
I believe that ECOWAS protocol on good governance and democracy still stands. Yes, we are not trying to say that we are encouraging unconstitutional change of government. However, I believe that the government of Niger, that is the junta government in Niger, should be given time, for them to, to work out their programs. They've already said that, yes, that ECOWAS should give them 3 years for them to, move back to a democratic system. And the ECOWAS said initially 1 year. But I believe with the border opening and the sanction lifted, both Niger government and the ECOWAS, they should meet each other halfway. And it's not just about meeting halfway. Then we equally have to maybe monitor them to see whether they're making progress, in terms of governance. Like I said earlier, when we talk about governance, it's the people that matter. If people's needs and aspirations are being met, then I think that we should encourage them.
Right. I want to draw a comparison from another African region, which is the Southern African Development Community, SADC. During President Mugabe's era in Zimbabwe, there was a lot of pressure for sanctions from the region, action to be taken from the region. But, you know, countries like South Africa, neighboring countries to Zimbabwe, took a position that they couldn't do that because it's the Zimbabwean people who would suffer. Now, having said that, do you think it's time for ECOWAS to possibly evolve from getting involved in political issues to become an apolitical organization that just focuses on the economic welfare of West Africans?
Well, you cannot separate economic welfare from political conditions because both of them work in pari passu. And comparing ECOWAS with SADC, I don't think that there is basis or there are basis for comparison. Because if you look at ECOWAS has achieved a lot, especially in terms of peacekeeping, peacemaking, and peace building. You can see ECOWAS interventions in Liberia and Sierra Leone, in Gambia, in Cote d'Ivoire, you know, and in Guinea-Bissau. And these are laudable achievements that we can at least say that ECOWAS, they have made, you know, a lot of achievement in this area. Yeah, for the fact that maybe the queue in that's Niger, you know, brought us to some level. You get what I'm saying? If we look at even that sanctions that has been imposed, and even the account that has been freezed, there are some level of things that we have achieved by doing that. At least since that sanction, you can equally now realize that even other countries within ECOWAS and Sahel, since then we've not had any issue of maybe coup d'etat or unconstitutional change of government. So for us maybe to sweep these things under carpet as if we have not achieved anything, I think it may be an erroneous assumption because I believe that a lot has been achieved. But I'm equally saying that we should equally, you know, commend ECOWAS heads of government, you know, ECOWAS heads of government for what they are doing right now, because I think that it's high time for them to take this move, and they have taken it. So it's the right decision taken at the right time. So it's now left for the government, that is Nigerian government, for them to sit back and say, okay, that ECOWAS has done so and so. Let us equally see how we can, you know, make additional effort to make sure that some of the conditions, you know, that are met. So I think that what ECOWAS has done this particular time is a welcome development.
Well, you said that this gesture is one that was made at the right time, but there are some critics that are saying that this is a delayed response because the criticism when this border was closed was more instantaneous than any other thing. So in terms of how ECOWAS is being perceived when it comes to its efficiency, this is being looked at as a delayed response. So that when you're saying it's the right time, some are saying that it's not the right time, that it should have been done much sooner. What do you say to that?
Well, if you look at the incidents in Niger, you know, the coup that take place in Niger, and you look at the coup that took place in other, you know, ECOWAS countries, I think Niger own is unique in his own way. One, considering the fact that after the coup, the GDP has improved. Like, you know, the Niger GDP has gradually improved, and even the people that came out to support the coup plotters or the junta government, you know, it shows that they're working in line with the people. You know, that the present regime in Niger, that the Nigerian actually, you know, favor the present regime because they've come out in mass to show solidarity, you know, with the government. But you don't expect ECOWAS to cross their hands and do nothing. After all, unconstitutional change of government is still what? Unconstitutional change of government, regardless of its nomenclature. So ECOWAS taking decisions to impose such sanctions, you don't need to blame ECOWAS. But at this particular time, since they have now watched, you know, what the government of Niger are doing, and they saw the way that the people of Nigerians are suffering, the way Nigerians are suffering. So for them to come out this time around and say, okay, look, we are lifting the sanctions, both the land and the air. We are opening the borders and unfreezing all the accounts. I think we should commend ECOWAS for what they are doing. We don't need to say maybe whether they do it too late. For the fact that they have done it, it shows that at least they are listening.
Right. Your pro-ECOWAS stance is very clear. On the morning show this morning, I know Dr. Abati made a comment regarding ECOWAS and referred to the organization as a toothless bulldog. All bark and no bite. And this action is being taken as such by several people who are analyzing the situation. You look at the creation of the Joint Task Force against jihadists that has been initiated by Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali. Looks highly unlikely that they're going to move back into the fold. But my question is, has this situation and the way it's been handled proved that ECOWAS is not as mighty as we would like to believe it is?
Well, I don't think that if we want to talk about supranational organization, ECOWAS is not is a supranational organization, and we equally have to consider the concept of sovereignty. When you see Union of States coming together to form an alliance for their own benefit, that does not remove the sovereignty of the nations involved. You understand? So if you consider the concept of sovereignty and realize that, yes, a country, they have the right either to belong to an international organization or even to disassociate themselves, just like the warning that about these 4 countries gave earlier. I actually appreciated ECOWAS heads of states and governments because of this proactive measure they are taking. Because a disintegrated West Africa will not do anyone any good, especially this time that we are facing various security challenges. So coming together to tackle our common enemy, I think, is the right thing to do. And for them to take this initiative to lift sanctions and open borders, bringing all those countries again, is actually a pat on the back. It's just like carrot and stick. We have used the stick, and this time around we are now dangling the carrots. And it's very, very imperative, at least for those states, for them to come back into the fold. Because belonging to ECOWAS will actually give them a greater accessibility to resources and even international funding than them staying alone. You understand? Okay. So I don't think it's time for us to blame the ECOWAS heads of states and governments. You understand? Mm-hmm. What I believe is that actually what they have done now is the right thing to do. And for the fact that they have at least done it, I believe that they should be commended. Okay.
Well, finally, you still insist it's a good timing and it's fine. But what about the need for reforms? Because one of the, when the border was closed, that renewed calls for ECOWAS to undergo some reformation. So it's definitely not a perfect bloc or a perfect regional body. What would you like to see in order for us to avoid history repeating itself?
Well, okay. Let me just start by saying that, yes, I agree that ECOWAS is not a perfect body. However, there is no perfect alliance anywhere. You look at European Union. Last time we saw the Brexit. You understand? And then look at what is happening in NATO. Talking about NATO, and I think about 2 days ago, either Sweden and Norway, they joined NATO. You understand? And then Ukraine has been trying to join, and you can see the ongoing war in Ukraine. So there is no perfect union anywhere. Let us establish that. However, I think that ECOWAS, they need to, work hard in terms of governance system, to hold themselves accountable when it comes to governance. Because in a situation whereby leaders fail to appropriate resources to the citizens or to manage the meager resources, and they fulfill the aspiration of the citizens, then there will always be room, for unconstitutional change of government. So I believe that it's high time for them to hold themselves accountable. In a situation whereby a country's constitution say that it's 2-term, let it be 2-term, so that we don't change the goalpost while the game has already started.
Well, I hope they heard you loud and clear in Senegal. Dr. Kester.
I equally believe that.
Dr. Kester Onoh, a research fellow at Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. I always enjoyed these conversations. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you once again for having me.
Thank you.